My stepmother sold my late father's $500,000 card collection as old cardboard to pay for her son's wedding. She didn't realize I had the legal titles and a very expensive lawyer. My name is Oliver. To most people, a Black Lotus or a first edition Charizard is just a piece of printed cardboard. To my father and me, they were a bridge. My dad was a pioneer in the TCG, trading card game, world in the early 90s. While other dads were buying stocks, my dad was buying booster boxes of Magic the Gathering and Pokemon. He taught me how to handle them with white gloves, how to check the centering, and how to spot a fake from a mile away. When he passed away 2 years ago from a sudden stroke, he left me his private vault. It was a collection of over 200 pristine PSA 10 graded cards. Market value? Somewhere around $550,000. In his will, the house went to his second wife, Beatrice, but the collection, explicitly itemized as the Miller collection, was left entirely to me. Beatrice hated those cards. She called them satanic and childish clutter. Last month, I went to the house to finally move the vault to a secure bank facility. The vault was empty. Beatrice had sold the entire collection to a local hobby shop for $5,000 to pay for her son's Kyle's dream destination wedding in Santorini. She thought she was being smart. She didn't realize she had just committed grand larceny on a federal level. I stood in the basement staring at the empty shelves. My hands were shaking. That collection wasn't just money, it was my father's life. It was our Sunday mornings. I ran upstairs. Beatrice was in the kitchen, sipping expensive tea and looking at wedding brochures. "Where are the cards, Beatrice?" I asked, my voice dangerously low. She didn't even look up. "Oh, those old things? I did you a favor, Oliver. I cleared out that junk. A nice man from the Hoard shop came by and took them off my hands. He gave me $5,000. It's helping pay for Kyle's catering." "5,000?" I choked out. "Beatrice, that collection was worth $500,000, and it was legally mine." She laughed, a sharp, patronizing sound. $500,000 for cardboard? Don't be dramatic. Besides, I'm the homeowner. Anything in this house belongs to me. That's how marriage works." "That's not how wills work," I said. I walked out, called my lawyer, and then I headed to the Hoard. The shop owner, a man named Gary, knew exactly what he had done. When I walked in, he tried to act casual. "Hey, Oliver, sorry about your dad. Yeah, your stepmom sold me some stuff. It's already been processed into my private inventory. Nothing I can do." "Gary, you and I both know you bought a PSA 10 Alpha Black Lotus for pennies on the dollar. You knew she didn't have the title. That's receiving stolen property." Gary smirked. "I have a signed bill of sale from the executor of the household. It's legal. Now get out before I call the cops." I didn't argue. I knew Gary was planning to sell the Power 9 cards at the regional Invitational in 3 days. He thought he was going to make a fortune. He didn't know I had been documenting that collection since I was 12. I had high-res scans of every micro-scratch and every holographic pattern. And I had my dad's secret weapon, an inventory of ownership signed and notarized every year. I didn't stop Beatrice from flying to Greece. In fact, I encouraged it. "You're right, Beatrice," I told her over the phone, sounding defeated. "Maybe it was just junk. I hope Kyle has a great wedding." She was smug. "I'm glad you've finally grown up, Oliver." While she was boarding her flight to Santorini, I was meeting with the district attorney and a private investigator. Because the value of the theft exceeded $100,000, it was a first-degree felony. And because Gary intended to transport the stolen goods across state lines to the tournament, the feds were interested. We waited until the day of the wedding. I wanted the timing to be perfect. Gary was at the Invitational, sitting in the VIP section, showing off my father's Black Lotus to a group of high-stakes buyers. He was asking for $250,000 for that single card. I walked up to his table with two plainclothes officers. "Nice card, Gary," I said. He turned pale. "Oliver, I told you." "Mr. Gary Higgins," one of the officers said, flashing a badge. "You are under arrest for the possession and attempted sale of stolen property. We have a warrant for your entire inventory." The look of pure terror on his face was better than any card I could ever draw. They confiscated the entire Miller collection right there on the convention floor. Gary started screaming that it was Beatrice's fault. The officers nodded. "Don't worry, we're talking to her too." In Santorini, the wedding was beautiful, or it was until the local police arrived during the reception. Beatrice was mid-toast when the Greek authorities, working with an Interpol notice, detained her. They couldn't arrest her for the theft in Greece, but they could hold her for questioning regarding fraudulent financial transactions, the $5,000 she received, and the wedding costs paid with stolen funds. The bank accounts she used to pay the vendors? Frozen. The resort demanded immediate payment for the remaining $30,000 balance for the reception and rooms. Beatrice had no money. Kyle had no money. The dream wedding turned into a nightmare. Guests were asked to leave. The florist took back the arrangements. Kyle and his new bride spent their honeymoon in a budget hostel because they were kicked out of the luxury suite. Beatrice was extradited back to the U.S. 2 weeks later. She tried to cry in court. She tried to say she didn't know the value. My lawyer played a video I had recorded a year prior where I was explaining the value of the cards to her and my dad, and she was clearly heard saying, "I don't care if it's worth $1 million, it's clutter." That proved she knew they had significant value. The judge was a collector himself. He collected vintage coins. He had zero sympathy. Beatrice was sentenced to 3 years in prison, suspended to heavy probation and a mandatory restitution of $150,000 for emotional distress and legal fees. Since she couldn't pay, the court ordered the sale of the house. Because of a clause in my father's will that she violated, the moral turpitude clause regarding the estate, her right to the house was forfeited. I bought the house back at the auction for a fraction of its value, using a small portion of the collection's insurance money. I'm sitting in the basement now. The Miller collection is back on the shelves, but this time it's behind reinforced steel and biometric locks. I recently got the Black Lotus re-slabbed. It's still a perfect 10. Kyle tried to call me last week, begging for money. He's working 2 jobs to pay off the wedding debt for a wedding that was ruined. I didn't answer. I just looked at my dad's favorite card, smiled, and whispered, "We got him, Dad." Sometimes people think you can walk all over you because you have childish hobbies. They forget that even a piece of cardboard can have enough power to bring down a whole house of cards.